Alright, now that Oscar season is over, it's time to talk about a film that won absolutely nothing at the Oscars. It is Robert Eggers' latest film. Let's talk about Nosferatu. Now, before I continue with this video, if you like movie content, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the description where I have a playlist to more of my movie reviews. Anyway, back to the video. Now, if you're around my age, you probably have watched SpongeBob SquarePants, and you probably know that one episode where they make a reference to the old Nosferatu. They played for a joke, but Nosferatu back in the day was basically a rip-off Dracula because they didn't have the rights to adapt Bram Stoker's Dracula, and so they had to make their own thing, and that became Nosferatu. And now we have Robert Eggers, or Bob, let's call him Bob, because most people just know him as Bob Eggers, I guess. The director who made The Lighthouse, which I still haven't watched, The Witch, which also I haven't watched, and The Northman. Once again, I haven't watched that. But yeah, he is a director who's made 3 really good films, really mind-bending films as well. And this time he's making his take on the Nosferatu tale. But his version of Nosferatu doesn't just take inspiration from the 1930s film Nosferatu, it also borrows from the main source material, the big daddy behind all vampire stories, and that is Bram Stoker's Dracula. So Nosferatu opens with, I wouldn't call it a cold opening, but like a very creepy opening that follows Lily Rose Depp's main character, Ellen, as she is kind of calling out into the darkness, and Count Orlok responds, and you get a bit of a jump scare there. But then after that, we jump forward a few years, and now she is happily married to this guy named Thomas Hutter, who's being played by Nicholas Hoult. Thomas Hutter is a property solicitor, and he is basically sent away by his boss to meet with this certain count who wants to buy a house in the German village where they're at. Now Ellen, feeling that something might go wrong, begs him to stay, but Thomas is like, I gotta provide for my new bride, I gotta provide for the family that I want to build. So yeah, even though this mission is nonsensically dangerous, I am going to go on it. Unbeknownst to him, his boss is already a lackey of Count Orlok. And so he makes the journey over to wherever Count Orlok's old castle is, and it's truly a creepy journey, because first he meets up with his group of gypsies, or Romani if we're being politically correct here, and they warn him not to go up to the castle because they know that whatever resides in there is not human. But he decides not to listen to them, and the night where he's staying at this town, he witnesses these people kill a vampire, but he kind of chalks that down as to being a nightmare, but then he's covered in dirt, so it couldn't have been a nightmare. And when he wakes up, everyone's gone. The town is empty, and now he has to make his way over to Orlok's castle without any help, and yeah, basically falls victim to Orlok's dark magic. And so now he's trapped in Orlok's castle, and it becomes apparent that what Orlok actually wants, what Count Orlok really wants, is his wife. Now when it comes to the movie in itself, I think Bob Eggers is now a really experienced director, and he really knows how to set atmosphere. Because this is truly a horror, and honestly, one of the scarier horror movies that I've seen in a while. Because Bob Eggers knows how to set up a creepy situation, even though the payoff may be a jump scare, is that sense of anxiety. I said this in my Year in Movies video, especially when it came to the horror segment, that the best horrors make you feel a sense of anxiety. The best horror films, the best thriller films make you feel that sort of tension, that sort of anxiety as you anticipate something bad happening. And Bob Eggers really knows how to play with that. There was a point in the movie where I was expecting a jump scare so badly, because we had been got a few times before that in the movie, and that doesn't happen. And then you know you have a movie which has hooked you in, because now you're feeling tension with every scene. And it's not just the sense of anxiety and tension, but also the general vibe of creepiness that this movie has, right? Count Orlok is played by Bill Skarsgård, who is basically going on a collection of all the weirdest horror creatures that he can play, because He's played Pennywise the Clown, and now he's playing Count Orlok. And Count Orlok in this movie is menacing. You feel the menace from this guy. From the moment Thomas steps into the castle, you can feel a sort of weight, a sort of heaviness when he's talking to Orlok. And the movie doesn't show you Orlok's face. Throughout the first act of this movie, you don't see Count Orlok's face, but you can feel the menace and the weight behind the performance, and you can really feel the fear that Thomas is feeling in that situation. The way Bill Skarsgård performs sells you on that. It sells you on the fact that you are dealing with an evil that you are not familiar with, that none of these characters are familiar with. Nicholas Hoult, playing the main character of Thomas Hutter, also does a great job of selling the fear. When he is in Orlok's castle, you can feel the fear. As I mentioned, the fear is palpable, and it's disorientating because he's in this castle and he doesn't know what happens until he finally finds Orlok's coffin, and then just like the horrors ensue, and he's being chased down by these dogs, and this really sells you on the fear aspect, and that's why it's really incredible. I'm rambling at this point because it's very hard to describe the kind of creepiness and fear that this movie sells you. And in a dark cinema with few people, it's a great atmosphere for a horror film, especially one of this quality. On top of that, I think the best performance comes from Lily Rose Depp, because her character Ellen is the emotional center of this movie. She is the one, I wouldn't say she grounds the movie, but she's the heart of the movie, right? She's the one Orlok wants. She's the one that Thomas wants to protect. And she's the one that is struggling because she made this pact with Orlok. She's the one that's attracting Orlok, and she has to deal with that. And she's someone who is special. She can sort of go into a different dimension or something that's explained in the movie. And she is someone, you could say, who has the closest connection with the supernatural. And there are moments where she really has to deliver, where Lily Rose Depp really has to deliver on the character. There is especially one monologue in sort of the second to third act of this movie, which is delivered so fantastically that I'm surprised that it didn't get a nomination. It didn't get her a nomination. Besides that, Aaron Taylor-Johnson is also in this, and he also does a great job in the film. He's in a more of a minor role, but a kind of important role as well, because he's the everyman. He's the skeptic. He doesn't believe in all this shit, but it's happening, and he just doesn't know how to deal with it. And Aaron Taylor-Johnson performs really well. So yeah, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is probably one of the best horror films I've seen in a long time. It made me afraid, and normally I get a bit of the tension and the anxiety, but I don't genuinely get scared. But this movie made me afraid, and hats off to Robert Eggers and to the actors for delivering one of the best horror experiences I've had in a long time. I give Nosferatu an 8.5 out of 10. So have you seen Nosferatu? If you have, please let me know in the comments below. And what is the best horror movie you've seen in recent times? Anyway, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.